Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Viva Divine, the Divine Podcast. My guest today is actually a really good friend of mine. I have known her for quite a few years, and I have watched her expand and grow in her consciousness over the last 3 years in some exponential and accelerated ways. The reason why I wanted her on my podcast today is because she represents the everyday person that's sitting next to you on the bus, the person you're sitting next to at work, the person that's driving in the car next to you. Everyday people living extraordinary lives. We can always look to celebrities for inspiration. That's a wonderful thing. But sometimes it's the people that are just smiling at you, who are living in a state of consciousness that is actually shifting not only their lives, but the people around them. This is my friend. I know her as Candace, but I would like to introduce her to you as Oneness Journey. Let's get this show started.
Raising the collective consciousness. Raising the collective consciousness.
Viva Divine.
Living in awareness.
And I would like to welcome to the show Miss Oneness Journey. Welcome to the Divine Podcast, my love. Yay, you're here.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm so blessed to be here. It is an honor and it is a joy to be here.
Well,
Thank you.
I look forward to you sharing your story with everybody because I have known you for quite a while because we actually went to high school together. And yeah, we reconnected on Facebook a few years ago. And I just want our listeners to understand how this friendship evolved because even before I was even like aware of anything, I would read your posts and I would literally sit there and go, why does this sound familiar? Like, why is she posting this stuff that I know deep in my soul is true? And so what I want to do to introduce you and share you with everybody is just for you to kind of give everyone an idea of how you got to that place where you were sharing all that stuff and why.
Right. It is definitely a journey. And that's why I named it a journey. I had subconsciously gone through a lot of metamorphosis changes like within myself. And I didn't realize it, but I was doing it on the outside in instead of doing it on the inside out. And I realized that later that I was actually bringing about this journey into consciousness, what I call collective consciousness and oneness. And so while I was going through physical changes back in, I think it was like 2010, I was going through a lot of appearance changes and changing my hair and all the altercations that I used to do to my hair. And I started doing like a lot of natural things and taking off, a lot of things doing my appearance. But I didn't realize I was changing on the inside, and these posts were really inspirational to me from others. So I saw myself as being a vehicle, and I was really happy to hear that they inspired you because I actually was putting them up inspiring myself, and I didn't realize I was inspiring others on this journey. So I felt like I had to get it out there,
Mm-hmm. But see, that's how it works for everybody. We're doing it really for ourselves. And we're kind of expressing what's happening to us or the shifting that we're going through. But we never realize that there are people out there that are actually paying attention because I was paying attention, and then we reconnected and we kind of honestly, truly, we've learned a lot from each other. And I've seen you, and this is why I really wanted you to share with everybody because, it's like regular everyday people are having these amazing experiences in their lives. And I've seen you, Oneness, I've seen you shift in the last 3 years. And so it's like a testimony to the dedication of like expanding your consciousness. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important that you tell your story, I tell my story, and we get people on the show to share their story. So there's some stuff that like you are really tapped into. You're really tapped into like your guides, right? Tell us about like how that works for you.
Oh, yes. My guides are my inspiration. They're my protection. They are my everything. They are my heartbeats and, oh, so much to me. Every day when I wake up, it's gotten to a point of in my life where I have experienced an evolution where that I know my presence in all three of them that are there are in order. I will name a sister, a dear sister of mine, that when I was age 3, I was in a car accident with my mom and my sister. Her name was Margaret at age 6, and she instantly died in the accident, unfortunately. But my mother and I survived. And from that moment, I always felt her presence, but I didn't know too much later in my years. And it was revealed to me that she's my guardian angel. And I can actually feel her presence as I say her name right now. I've got
Wow.
goosebumps, yes. And then my father, rest in peace, he died and passed in 2009, and he's always around me, his presence. And a dear friend of mine that was in a car accident back in actually it was 1991, and then in between. And they all three have this trinity of power that kind of motivates me, protects me. It's like a bubble around me. As I wake up, as I talk to other people, sometimes it just takes over. And when I step away, people tell me that I, in fact, actually told them something they needed to hear, and I won't even know where it came from. I really don't. It's just like it connects through me. I'm a vehicle is the best way to describe it. You know?
Okay. Do you have any specific experiences that, our listeners or somebody out there, that might be going through something similar, connecting with their family members or an ancestor? Because I don't have that. So everybody's journeys, we're all leading or heading down the same road, but we're all having different experiences. Was there anything specific that has happened that's really helped you? Did they show up? Did they show up and say something or do anything?
They always show up. They always tell me on a daily basis. But I can particularly remember that I was having difficulty on one of my jobs, and I was going through a lot of legal distress from them. I was involved with even some legal allegations and a case and involving a lot of stress. And that one day when I got off from work, I found myself just pulling up my pants legs and walking on the beach because the actual assignment that I was in town for was located on in the beach area. So after work, I decided to walk on the beach. But I know for a fact that my sister was there. In fact, I could feel her. It's like goosebumps that kind of pulled through me, and it just pulled me up by the bootstraps. And I felt so much better after having that. Just a simple walk and talk on the beach, and I had no idea that anyone was there until I left. And I felt like she was, in fact, got in the car with me, and I felt so much more strength, and I was able to just endure all of the whole entire crisis, and I felt uplifted. And when I got through, I knew it was her, and I just had to give her thanks because I knew she walked me through it, and she walked right beside me on that beach that day. From that point forward, I knew it.
I will say this, and something that I think our listeners should know about you. And I've always told you this: don't start crying.
You know I was.
Don't start crying.
I know I was. Yeah.
One thing about you that I will say that I commend you for, and that is your ability to listen. So like listening to your spiritual guides, to your ancestors, your sister, your dad, that's really important. You are a good listener because we've been through some stuff together, and I mean I've shared some stuff with you, and you have always you listen and you observe, and I can always tell when that listening ability and that observation leads into your next space of your evolution, right? So
Yes.
what so do you agree, or could you share like the importance of that listening and what it does for your soul? Because I think one of the things that people miss in this whole journey is the stillness and being able to listen for those messages, right?
Yes, and you are a guide. I have to
Lord.
let everybody know. And so special that you say that you recognize me for the listening, because you don't realize that you are a true guide and spirit essence of like this journey I go through. And you don't realize that the words you say, I can literally hear your voice when I go through these experiences. And I go back and I, testify and I give testimony to you that, look, I could hear your voice telling me to do this, Candace, do this. You want this, make sure you do this. And I really got that skill early on. And it's very important that people realize, just reflect back into the times in your life when you had no stress, no worries. I don't know when that could be, but just usually like grade school, your best moments, and you go back to that moment where you felt bliss and you felt, the playfulness of a child. And I do that quite often. I revisit it, and it reminds me of times when I would be there with my great grandmother, whose birthday that I shared, and we called her my big mama. And my big mama was a big influence, and I would just brush her hair. She was elderly and she was in a wheelchair, and she would tell me all types of stories, and I would just listen, and I reflect back to those moments of no stress, and that skill just clicks in, and I apply it to my daily life. And a lot of times we don't realize that we have to kind of go back to the basics of that childhood memory, that we didn't have any kind of stress, and we knew and we connected to the true essence of life and why we're here, enjoying the journey. And you will be able to pick up on everything and connect with the person every day that you are talking to. Even if it's someone on a subway or an elevator and you're speaking with them, look them dead in their eyes and just kind of engage of what they're saying. And I guarantee you, everyone has something meaningful and purposeful of what you may want to hear that day. It will take you very far. And that little bit of listening will go a long way as you listen to intense moments of your dear friends, or, people, I call them accountability partners sometimes. You just listen to them, it's very important.
Wow.
Very.
I felt that. That's a pretty powerful statement there. And I can attest to the fact that I can already feel that our listeners are going to really tap into that listening. Because, we talk about that a lot. And I'm a listener. So,
Yes.
because I listen and I sit still enough to hear what I need. That's why I feel like when I meet people and something comes through and I share it with them, and you listen, I know that trait that you have in you, and listening is what honestly helps us learn.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So that's amazing. Now I know you have some pretty inspirational people that you actually have tapped into on your journey, because you tell me about them all the time. And these might be people that, could possibly say something, that might help another person. So share with everybody, like, who are your to spiritual people that that will give you what you need when you need it at the right time.
Oh, yes, I have quite a few, but I kind of, want to just kind of point out some things that they are capable of doing that I've tapped into. And I try to pattern myself after, which is you and a friend of mine named Rhonda and Roxanne. Those three, I tell you, we are like on fire when we connect and talk, and we just uplift each other. And we just bounce off each other naturally. It's like our essence just flows like an ocean. And one common thing that we all have, in fact, is wanting to nurture other spirits and bring them up to a higher vibration.
Yes, ma'am.
That is so important. So definitely important.
That's what we're here for. That's definitely what we're here for.
Yes, indeed. Definitely.
Oh, man. I so appreciate you, because it's just like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you really understand the evolution of Oneness Journey that I have witnessed. We've both been in situations that have been very challenging, and we've come through them, and we're just like elevating. And I'm so proud, honestly, and this, and honored to know you.
You too.
I have this thing on the podcast, and I don't tell anybody about it until they're in it with me. Dun, dun, dun. And when I started this journey and I started with Viva Divine, I made this dedication that I would help one person, okay,
Mhm.
out
Mhm.
there just feel the way I felt.
Mhm.
And what I want to ask you right now, as you just sit in this space with me, in this beautiful spiritual energy that we're enjoying,
Mhm.
there's a person out there, Oneness, right now who's listening to this, or there's a
Yes.
person out there right now, one person who's going to come across your podcast.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you want to tell that one person based on your journey?
I want to tell them that they are more than enough.
Mm.
They are more than enough. And once you just dig down deep and just feel the pure essence of your heart and your soul and your being, you will know that there is nothing you cannot accomplish. There is everything that you can accomplish. There's always a new day. There's always a new beginning. And you have to know that. You can hear it. You can feel it. And then you can breathe it once you acknowledge it. You know? It's so important to realize that every day it's tough. I know we all go through stuff, and just stopping and telling yourself that sometimes in the mirror is important too, is to say, I am more than enough. And when I tell that little tidbit of a phrase to people that I know that are going through, and I find myself doing it often, it's that simple thing that just brings them back into focus. You know, it is so important.
Well,
Mhm.
on behalf of that one person,
Mhm.
I just want to say thank you, because I am sitting here literally with tears in my eyes, because that was really beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
I would love to have you come back on and share some amazing stuff. And is there anything else? Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? Can you share that?
Sure, thank you. I would love to come back. And I am actually on a social media account. I'm on Twitter, and I am also on Instagram under Oneness_Journey. And again, it's oneness, it's the all collective conscious love flow, going back to where we are together in oneness and in flow in our being and our love and our spirit. And we know that we know.
Yes, we do. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. This is so
Thank
powerful.
you.
I love
Yes.
you,
I love
and
you.
it's I cannot wait for the feedback, because I believe that you have seriously touched some people today. All right.
Oh,
All right.
thank
We will
you.
talk to you soon, my love, and thank you again, and bless you.
Bless you. Thank you. It's
All
an
right.
honor to be here.
So there are a couple of things that I took away from the interview today with Oneness. And I think one of the things that really resonates with me is the art of listening. I think listening makes you a very teachable person, along with humility. Sometimes our messages might come from people who were part of our lives, as in her case, her family members. Sometimes they come from that voice from within ourselves. And when we are still, that is when we can really hear it. I hope you got that last bit of information. That one person out there, I hope you know that you are enough. You are enough, and you are always loved. And on that note, thank you for listening, and we'll catch up with you next time.